So Batman #1, 9.4, sold this past weekend. Stick around and let's talk. Hey comic fam, Shelby with Shelby's Comics, and welcome to not another mail call, but to a Batman discussion. So a couple weeks ago I reported to you that there was a big sale of Detective Comics number 27 that occurred back in November, and that on January 15th, I believe, was an auction for Batman #1, 9.4. So that auction did take place last weekend at Heritage Auctions. I asked you to leave some comments below of what you thought that book would go for, and it ended up selling for $2.22 million. That is $2,220,000. Now, as you know, there's a 20% buyer's premium that's associated with that. So if we take off the 20% buyer's premium, the book actually sold for $1.8 million. A Batman #1, 9.4. Now, the only comparable that we had to look at with that book was in August of 2013, a 9.2 Batman #1 sold for $567,625. I'll show that in just a second. But a little over $500,000. If we subtract the 20% buyer's premium, that's around $450,000 that book sold for. So between 2013 and 2021, so roughly 7 years, from a 9.2 to a 9.4, which I feel like are pretty comparable, that book increased in price about 4 times, from a little over $500,000 to $2.22 million. So let me switch over to my desktop and let's take a look at those. So here is that Batman #1 that I was telling you about. You can see here that it sold for that $2.2 million. And if we take a look, just like I had shared with you, shared with everyone in the last video, there's only one known copy of a 9.4. Also, we'll talk about this here in a second. There's only one known copy of a 9.2. There are several restored grades, 6 restored grades. And Overstreet shows, and for the 2020 Overstreet that came out last year, they have a value on a 9.2 of about $860,000. So like I said, without the buyer's premium, this book sold for around $1.8 million. So quite a bit over, a little over double of what Overstreet estimates 9.2 would go for. So let's look here at past sales. And here is that 9.2 that I was just telling everyone about. It sold for a little over $500,000, and this was in 2013. So again, if we look at the census, there's only one known copy, unrestored, and currently 9.2, according to Overstreet, would be a little over $800,000. Now, if you missed out on this book and it's like, well, I wanted a Batman #1, coming up in February 9th, 2001, a Batman #1 5.0 will be coming up for auction. Now, they've just announced this. It's just a preview. It's not open for bids yet. And then if we look down here at the census, well, first let's look at the previous sold. So In 2020, July of 2020, a 5.0, and it was restored, so it's a purple label, sold for $200,000. Now in 2019, so roughly 2 years ago, about a year and a half, because it's only January 2021, a unrestored copy, VG Fine 5.0, sold for a little over $200,000 or $204,000. In 2016, a restored copy, so it had been trimmed, sold for around $15,000. And then in 2014, another, I guess this is also an unrestored copy, yeah, sold for $83,000. So if we look at our two unrestored copies, which is the 2014 sale date and the 2019 sale date, it's has gone up over twice the value. If we scroll down and look at the census, there's only 7 known copies that are unrestored. There's 8 restored, so we've now looked at 3 of the restored copies. And if we look at the current Overstreet, it would be somewhere, this 5.0 would be between 114,000 and 171,000, so around about $140,000. But like we see here, the copy that sold in 2019 already sold for over that amount, that 140,000, about $60,000 more than what Overstreet says it's worth. So yeah, should be pretty interesting to see what this goes for. I would have to think that it's going to go above this 204,000. By how much, we'll have to stick around and see. But yeah, pretty interesting. So yeah, I hope y'all like that look at what some books are going for. Definitely, like I said in the previous one, definitely these higher grade books have always gone for, I think, more than Overstreet has shown. But I think we also see now that even these mid-grade books in the Silver Age are starting to go for a bit more than what Overstreet is showing. Now, you could say, well, that's maybe a difference between a raw, say 5.0, if we take that example, and a graded 5.0. But to me, I'm not really positive what your difference is, right? I mean, a 5.0 should be a 5.0, whether it's graded or ungraded. Therefore, I've never really understood why graded copies of books should go for slightly higher, if not significantly higher, than what Overstreet shows. Now, I'm not saying Overstreet, of course, is your best gauge of what something may be worth. Something is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. I think that Overstreet is perhaps undervalued, say with example of this Batman number 1, 5.0, looking at what it sold for in 2019 compared to what it says the price should be, which in 2020, which is about a $60,000 difference. But I think it's also perhaps over estimating what some other books are. Anyway, this isn't in discussion to be about whether Overstreet is right or wrong. I just want to bring y'all that update of what that Batman sold for. Hey, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your opinion on whether graded books should be charged more than ungraded books. Let me know what you think, what you thought about that. $2.2 million sale of a Batman number 1, 9.4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks again for watching. And remember, peace, love, and comics. See you next time.